Ambassador Friedman, great to see you again with CBN News.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be with you.
On November 3rd, Americans are going to really decide the future of America. What's at stake here in Israel, Jerusalem, and the Middle East?
The president has developed a policy for the Middle East that really works. You know, it's pro-Israel, it's pro-allies, it's pro-freedom, pro-freedom of religion, it's pro-growth, and it's really working. You know, as you know, we've done unprecedented things, both bilaterally with Israel and multilaterally with nations like UAE, Bahrain, and Sudan. So we're really happy with what we've done. We're very proud of what we've done over the first term. I think if we're honored and blessed with the opportunity to serve our country for a second term, I think we can do even more. I don't want to focus on the dangers of another administration. I think everyone can do that analysis on their own, but I think the opportunity, the upside for a second Trump administration is enormous.
When you look back on the last 4 years, what achievements stand out to you?
You know, I think that moving the embassy to Jerusalem, I think that was really the most important thing the president did. Not just because, you know, we all believe that Jerusalem's the capital of Israel. It's been the capital of Israel for more than 3,000 years. The Supreme Court, the Knesset, the president's residence, the prime minister's residence are all here. Those, of course, are true, and the United States has the right to put its embassy in the capital of an ally. But it's not just that. It's the message that the move sent to the world, that President Trump stands with his friends, stands on principle, keeps a promise, can be trusted to keep a promise, and will not shirk or shy away, you know, from baseless threats from rogue nations. That was an incredibly powerful message that the president sent, and it resonated throughout the world. And I believe that it set our foreign policy on the right track everywhere. And I think it was actually, it may seem counterintuitive to people, but, you know, we believe this would lead to peace. If you remember, that's what Jared Kushner said when we opened the embassy, it will lead to peace, and it did.
One of the things that's been happening in the last few months is the Abraham Accords on September 15th, and the UAE and Bahrain has been signing more agreements after that. It seems to be coming to a crescendo. President Trump has said maybe 10 nations are in line. What's next, and who's next?
You can pull out a map and come up with some pretty good guesses as to who's next. I think all the regional players are in discussion. I don't want to speak for them or betray any confidences or their sensitivities, but the president is correct. There are 5 to 10 countries that are in active discussions with us. They have everything to gain by joining this circle of peace. They have nothing to lose. If their concern is for the Palestinians, the best thing they can do is to expand this circle of peace, create people-to-people engagement, commercial, cultural, travel. It will open up the region, and I think it will be in the best interest of everyone, including the Palestinians.
Yeah. What about Saudi Arabia? Can you address that? Or?
Look, what I can say about Saudi Arabia, again, I don't speak for them, and I'll let them take their own position at the right time, but they've been incredibly helpful to this process. We now fly from Tel Aviv to Abu Dhabi in about 3 hours. Without Saudi Arabia, that flight takes about 7 hours. Having flyover rights, any flight from Tel Aviv to an Arab country in the Gulf, the Saudis have said, Israeli airlines, other airlines, free to use our airspace. It's something that people have been asking the Saudis for a generation, because it's not just, you know, for example, a flight from Israel to India would normally fly over Saudi airspace if you were taking the most direct route. It's a big deal. I would allow the process to take its course, and I would be appreciative, I certainly am, and I think our government is, of the steps the Saudis have already taken.
Looking at the impact of the Abraham Accords on the region, what do you see in a year, 2, 5 years? What could change here in the region?
I think we are at the beginning of the end of the Arab-Israeli conflict. You know, there's about 22 nations in the Arab League. Right now we have about 5 of them, including Jordan and Egypt, that have normal relations with Israel. Once you get to a certain level, whether it's another 5 or another 7 or 8 or 10, you have what I would say by analogy, you know, on a subject that we're all familiar with now, you have something along the lines of herd immunity. You know, you have so many people that are already on board. The narrative, the old grievances kind of collapses on itself. And I think we're really at the beginning of a very hopeful period in the Middle East.